welcome to this review of German Bundesliga football. First and second Bundesliga, that's what we are going to check. And we are going through the games, we are going through the bets, especially what you might be most interested in. And of course, we want to check also whether or not we did have good bets or bad bets. That seems to be paramount to me. Of course, the good bets gotta produce some results in the end. That's what we hope to. But first of all, they gotta be good. And in this, you gotta try to be objective as you can be. And I'm trying new shapes here, and I might have to move myself around a bit. Although this is kept in German, and you may already be used to it. But we're gonna go through the whole match day, game by game, and we'll evaluate the bets, quality, and what we got in return. ROI, return on investment. Okay, I'm once again in the wrong shape here. Okay, as you see here, I gotta move myself around in this. If we use this shape, that's all the bets we made for Bundesliga 2. Although I'm not sure if I intended to start with German Bundesliga 2, but as we are here already now, I'm going to stick to this. So this is the bets we had. We had St. Pauli -1/4. We had Wien. Here you can't see the pairing. We have to remember that because I'm not giving them here. But maybe it doesn't matter that much. Or you remember the games, but you will instantly see, and we may get back to this slide here a bit later. And what is most important to me, of course, here we got the price, here we got, as we are betting on Asian lines, which you may check out in a tutorial a bit later, because I'm going to upgrade a few of my things on my homepage as well, that you may see here at some point, how to get access, how to get there. Anyway, we lost half of the bet here, we lost this one, we won this one. That's what we get back, because here are the prices, and so on. We won a couple of bad, we had a couple of good ones, we had a couple of bad ones, 5 good ones, 4 bad ones in Bundesliga 2, 1 neutral. I will come back to it later. For the whole weekend, we had a little win still here, although the Karlsruhe hour we lost last night, a bit sadly, because Karlsruhe were much better, but we will get to that in a minute. And that is the record for the whole weekend, because Bundesliga 1 didn't go so well. Still, the quality was okay. We are checking that regularly. We did have good bets altogether, 122 good ones, 72 bad ones, 15 neutral ones that are well justified when getting by. And that's 209 bets plus 19.588 units. That's plus 9.37%, which is very decent. And I will show you some more stats on that and explain it maybe a bit better. But okay, that should be one part which is important for you. I'm once again in quick time, although I would like to be here. Okay, here I can't position myself, or we have to, because this slide is a bit too big. Anyway, I listed all the bets here, and I'm trying to explain step by step all the things that I'm doing here. And maybe it looks like a bit too much, but at least it should, it should have a different, a clear shape somehow. And so you like it in general, and that you think, well, there's something professional about it. Because I wonder, you know, because there are many claiming to be professionals, and what I see there is they say this team are going to win, and when they say, oh, they didn't win, okay, that was bad luck. And we are doing a lot more here, or I'm doing, and I'm trying to guide you through somehow. And I mean, here are all the bets for the weekend. And as I said, it had been a bit too many. That seems a bit not really serious to me. when I have 22 bets, which is the total amount here, when there are 36 possible picks, because for every of the 18 games I have the side and the goal line to bet on. And if I select 22, well, that sounds like either I'm mad or market is, but neither one is really true. But it seems to be a bit too much. And as we lost even a little bit only, but I don't want to lose, and I don't want to make you lose by any means. But as you see here, by the quality is still actually fine. Of course, you have to be careful as soon as you lose and you try to justify that. I just wanted to show you one more thing. Here, okay, those are the bets. Here we got the same thing. That's the price. And I also added the true price. Here I got the true price of the old system, the new system as well. It's old system, that's new system. Usually the new system does confirm what the old system tells me anyway. But sometimes it's a bit apart here. Anyway, in general, it's a bit below and so on. And for those bets, I calculate the true price, but I didn't output it here yet. I have to improve a bit there. But already in the old system, which I'm taking the true prices from, which is the probability, the reciprocal of the probability, so to say. So I'm compiling the probability, and then I take the reciprocal, and I got the true price. And this I compare, and as long as the price I'm getting is above the true price I'm calculating, I got a bet. So that's the whole system. And as I'm doing this, I also got those probabilities here. And my mouse is gone again. And I most likely have to change batteries. Because, well, yeah, I didn't want this to happen at all. Here we got the record. Okay, that's fine. Okay. Here we got the percentage. This is fine. Okay, of course, that's a single unit per bet and nothing else, nothing fancy about it. Here, this is very important because this is the hits we had. And okay, so many, from 209, I had like 118.75. It's a bit difficult with the Asian handicaps because sometimes you have half a win or half a loss, so you have to make sure you take the right to the number of at the right figure to the number of hits you have, because winning it is 1, losing it is 0. Every other Asian line is in between that, of course. So you get half a loss, that's 0.25. Draw even, draw no bet, you get 0.5 hits, and if you had half win, it's 0.75. It makes perfect sense. And here are the hits I'm getting. Here's how much we needed, 108.94. So between 109 and 119, you could say that's the margin that I had. That's also the space for error. As long as I'm, the probability is not properly calculated by myself, and it's something between market, but that's the maximum market leaves me, or it's the minimum I need. So market would say, well, you could have 104 or 102 or something like that. That's what they would say. But that's the minimum I need. So we are fighting for these, let's say 7 or 8 or 6 or 5 would be fine already. If I have 200 bets, so to say, and 6 of them, I win 6 units, that's 3%. That is fine. That is too much we are getting here, but of course we don't complain. But here I see, oh, my calculations may be okay, because that I can check here. That's what the hits I wanted to have. That's the reciprocal of those true prices. That's the probability added up. So I wanted to have, I was hoping, so to say, to have 117.5, which would be perfectly fine for me if this calculation would be right. But it should be something between this and this, right? If I have 169 here, market says 2.02. So, okay, you gotta watch out. I mean, either I'm mad or they are mad, but most likely the truth is somewhere in between. Anyway, I got space between 109 and 117.5, if you want so, because this is the maximum actually I could hope for. because that would be the figure if my calculations, if my figures were perfectly okay. If I get one at 18.75, I have to say I'm lucky anyway. For these 1.25 only, which is, but it's already a fair amount, but usually I should be clearly below this and closer to that. So that's 18.75, but at least in this sense, I mean, that's what we got. That's why 9.37% are too much, because I can't beat my own probabilities. This is my probability, so either I'm right or I'm coming close. But I won't be, you know, if I say that's 169 and market says 2.02 maximum, then it will never happen that 1.50 is true, or it may happen here or there, but you know, it should be in between somewhere. So let's make sure you understand that concept, and then we are fine, right? But I'm trying to teach that in some tutorials and bring that a bit closer. I have been lucky, and I can't, you know, this is no way I'm gonna be able to ignore that amount of luck for at least 1.25 hits, which doesn't sound a lot, but still it is just lucky. It gotta be luck, nothing else. Okay, now we are going through the matches here, and I'm of course I'm trying to make that a bit shorter here now. We will remember the games. We did have a couple of, you know, huge surprises with I was just showing you 27 goals, average 3.0. That's around where it usually is. 15-12, small home advantage. That's fine. We did have some favorites away from home. Well, actually, all of the big three had been away from home, so it's a little bit of a surprise. But it's pretty regular, and we can of course remember the games, but we will see that in a minute when we go through them game by game. Anyway, here's my homepage actually subtitle, but it's not running yet. I'm trying to get there. Anyway, some huge wins. One of the big favorites won 5-1, and the other two were struggling, although they may have played okay. We had some very curious referee decisions as usual, VAR interceptions, and so on. But of course, I can't go into too much detail in every single one. Here we would see, well, here it tells us which side was playing better than expected. And if it's a plus, it's the home side. If it's a minus, it's the away side. This is regardless of the result. We're not looking at the result here. We see quite a few times the home side played better than expected. That's Karlsruhe a lot, that was against 10 men and so on, which means, of course, then, yeah. But Stuttgart, Kiel also played against 10 men, HSV, and they were even worse than expected. And also Osnabrück, no, they didn't play 10 men, but they were winning 1-0. But minus 0.7 is quite massive. So Stuttgart were a lot better than I thought and than I expected. And well, what can I say? I mean, Osnabrück had the result on their side. And anyway, we can check that in more detail if you look at these two. Did Bochum produce more than I hoped for, or in case I bet them, I hope for, but they did a little less, and here they were winning a bit because Bochum produced a little less. So it's a slight edge to St. Pauli. But you can check these figures. Dresden were better than expected. That's not because their offensive was good, but because their defensive kept them away, and so on. And so Osnabrück was actually producing less than expected, but they were happy with the 1 goal they scored, which is close enough to this and would have been to this as well. But Stuttgart produced a lot more, which is not massive, 1.85. I mean, it still can happen, but they should have scored, and so on. That's game by game when we get there, right? And we have to talk about the bets as well. And here we got the St. Pauli Bochum in a little more detail because I'm giving the stats here, and we don't have to, you know, I'm maybe not going to do that every week. But if I expect 17.3, 12.03 shots, and they have 13-11, I can see, well, okay, Bochum, St. Pauli a bit better, Bochum a bit better than expected, which is a big difference, which no one of those commentators in German, anyway, they wouldn't notice anything. but also maybe a broad way. Well, who would talk about it in this much deep detail, right? You say St. Pauli were the slightly better side, but were they as good as expected them to be? Yeah, they were even a bit better than expected. Which why are you talking about this? Well, because we need to go deeply into all this stuff. In corners, I mean, sorry if I kept that in German now. That's shots on target, that's total shots, that's on target, that's corners, that's crosses. In these two stats, St. Pauli had their edge, decent, a fair edge, better than expected, less than expected, better than expected, opponent less than expected. And in possession, it was pretty fairly around even, although St. Pauli had a small edge, and so on. Tackles, that was not in their favor in this game. I expected with the old way of compiling by results, more or less, I expected it to be 1.75, 1.31. That's why I say, what do you expect from the game? Well, what I expect is 1.75 goals, 1.31 goals. Or I expect these values, 1.84, 1.26, which are not that far apart, but it's a bigger edge to St. Pauli. Well, how does this turn into chances? Well, that's a different compilation. That's what I expect in terms of shots. That's what I expect in corners, crosses, possession. That's what I turned into goals, or that's by the old system. That's only based on goals. But the new system would turn these expected stats into expected goals, because how well do you convert a chance? That's why I have this conversion rate, which is not shown here, which may differ slightly, but it's not the intention to get it widely apart, right? I mean, then I say, okay, they don't score, but they are still playing well, then I say, okay, so they can't convert their chances. Then I could go back to the old system, which is just based on goals, which also makes a little bit of sense. Okay, anyway, that's the values they played at, which are very close to these, but you could still argue, okay, little edge to St. Pauli and a somewhat bigger edge than expected, because 1.78, 1.15 even beats these higher values from the new system. The result was 1-1, was frustrating for me and for the bets and for you. So in that, well, hopefully it won't have done too much harm, but because it was only half a loss, anyway, it can go. It could be worse. But anyway, we were on the good side, and so we can, as I showed before, we had been lucky already in other games. In Dresden, Wien, we had this disallowed goal, which was really silly, as Wien scored a goal, and no one would have doubted it was a goal. No one from Dresden as well. They just it was a goal and it was 0-1. And then the VAR intervened and said, well, 17.5 seconds before the ball crossed the line here, when Dresden were actually trying to score themselves, and they said, well, the ball crossed the line, so it's a goal kick instead of a goal. I mean, that's as silly as can be, or even a bit more. Anyway, as you see here, that's close enough, but still a small edge to Dresden, 11-8, that's the shots they had and Wien had, and that's what I expected, so we can shorten that maybe. Here I expected a bit too much from Wien, or computer did, because Dresden were not so good before, but 7-3 was outclassing that, so I was wrong. 4-1 corners was also in favor of Dresden. 9-6 crosses was in their favor. Possession, tackles doesn't matter too much. Old system expected 1.55, 1.41. The new system even expected, well, a very even game. It wasn't to be, it was 1.39, 0.91, which is still not massive. Dresden also did not, in some values, did not quite fulfill what had been expected, but the Wien were no good. Result was 1-0. Still that controversial goal. We lost it. We didn't have the right side. Still, as I'm objective enough to still state here. In Osnabrück, Stuttgart, as I said already, all those figures showed, and you will see that confirmed in most of them. 22 shots, which is a lot. 9 on target, 1-7 corners, 2-14 crosses. 30% possession only for Osnabrück, or 17% for Stuttgart. Tackles were slightly favorable for Osnabrück. 1 point, I expected a small edge. New system more or less confirmed. They were outclassed actually by 1 whole goal, which is still, I mean, they are playing in the same division, right? So it means, well, a lot can happen. And Osnabrück brought that 1 goal home, which was most important for them. So maybe the stats went slightly in Stuttgart's favor with the result, but I can't count it as a good bet. Stuttgart were just too strong. In Kiel HSV, we did win another one, but we still can't be so proud of this one, because I mean we were also with Kiel, we were 11 against 10, although after 43 minutes it was right around that sending off, I think, or I can't remember really, but they were 10 men, so they had the result on their side, but still HSV were with 10 men still outplaying them. Although you can say, well, okay, even with 10 men, I mean, even against 10 men, you would still say 1-0 against the top side, we are happy. And the 1-1 happened in the 90th minute, so you could say, well, they almost brought their win home with that sad strategy, which is sad only in the sense of what we love about football, actually what we don't love. And I would like to see them play football. And say a result is actually just second most important. Just the joy of the game. And you can compare it to NBA, which they all, you know, they love it, and it's a very, very nice game, the basketball in USA. And but they would never, no one would say result is most important. We want to see some good sports. That's what they would say. They would all say, also the players. And that's why they would never, say anything after the game. They would say, shake hands, because nothing bad can happen. I mean, bad things can happen, but they wouldn't argue too much about it. In football, it's in every game. I mean, it's the spectators and the referees and the coaches and the players, and they are all unhappy virtually in every game. I mean, sometimes, for this or that reason, or sometimes one side more than the other, but that may change. Anyway, it's a sad game. In that sense, they could make it easily a lot more attractive, but that's a different story. But that's why I'm saying the sad game of football. And what I was saying in NBA, as you see there, the drafting system already with making, which is intention is to keep the sides balanced. This is so obvious. I mean, we want to have some nice competition in every game, and we want to have more or less same quality of sides. And if they draft a good player, I mean, we're all happy. We just, no one complains. And okay, anyway. And in football, well, it's just like more, a bit more. And why would this be? Tackles we did have. Anyway, we're 1.26, 1.65, so computer old system was pretty certain HSV did have an edge, which actually was confirmed more than that even by the new system. And they almost, they got a bit more than that, although they were a player down. The result was 1-1, as we all remember. We were a bit lucky, but not too lucky, as result was on our side. In Sandhausen, Fürth, we did have Fürth. We didn't have a good bet here, as you see in a second. 24-9 shots instead of 15-13. 6-4 on target, still within range. 6-4 corners is also within range, but the edge goes to Sandhausen. Crosses, 19-9. Fürth did have their share amount, but Sandhausen were just better. 50% possession is the only value going into Fürth's favor. 1.27, 1.11 is what the old system says. The new system, well, more or less around the same, but they played like 1 goal better. They did win in the end, and there was a very late goal in 90th minute, which was still well deserved at that point. You can't argue a lot. And in Nuremberg, Bielefeld, we did have Bielefeld, and already after 15 minutes, we were 3 goals up, so the values wouldn't matter too much, although they would still say Nuremberg played okay. 5-8 on target, okay, that's in Bielefeld's favor. 8-1 corners, clearly to Nuremberg. 11-4 crosses, clearly to Nuremberg. Possession is around regular. Tackles go to Bielefeld. Okay, doesn't matter that much. Old system was expected. An edge to that, which I was saying, well, you can't really, when you hear the names, you wouldn't really sense that. But yeah, computer was guiding the way, and we gone for it. We won it. Still, we can't be too proud, as actually the values still go to Nuremberg. Here, you could say, well, the game was over as a contest, more or less after 15 minutes. Although it did happen before, and after the 1-3, the crowd was there. So a lot could have happened from then on. Wasn't to be. Anyway, and result was 1-5. In Darmstadt, Regensburg, similar. Well, we did have the home side here, and actually, well, it was a similar story, and we actually did score the winner after Dursun missed a penalty 10 minutes before or so. He scored the 2 goals, and then still they were to concede the 2-2, which was very sad. I was really, when they scored the 2-1, there was really some celebration, as I did when Wien scored, which was Düsseldorf then. So twice I dared to celebrate, and both times, well, I'm not going to do that again. Why should I? I mean, first of all, the VAR intervened, which was just silly, but here the goal didn't help because Regensburg also scored one. Although up to this point, 88 minutes, we would have lost the whole bet, and after what happened, we only lost half the bet. So we could also say, well, why should they even score the first one? But they actually deserved it, and more than that. So in all areas they had been better. Here you see it's close again between old and new, virtually the same, and they played like 1.5 goals better. So that would have been a clear home win, which we did get, which was gone a minute later. Gone again. Heidenheim and Hannover, we profited from the sending off. The stats were slightly on our side, on shots on target, okay. Corners not so much, crosses also quite regular. Possession even went to Hannover. So in the end, we had 1 point. I mean, we shouldn't watch too closely on the games with a 11-10. I mean, it goes into the stats. It happens, but it doesn't have this same meaning. 1.88, 1.41, so we can't say it was a bad one, but still we profited from that. In Karlsruhe, we once again were very, very unlucky because 31-9 shots, 5-3, although we profited from the red card here as well, by stats at least, we didn't profit in the bets, but in the end, or half loss, I mean, on the side, full loss on the over, still, it could be worse, that's what I want to, because you could lose both bets. But in all areas, Karlsruhe were much better. Possession, tackles everywhere. That's what I expected. Was good enough for a bet. That's what the new system expected. Even clearly more for Karlsruhe, because it said our are no good. Although Karlsruhe are also not. But rating it by results, the old system has. Does respect our a lot more, which the new system does not confirm because the stats are no good. And they were no good. And look at this. This is the most amazing difference here of 2.2 goals, although 11 against 10, but they actually did it quite well, 31 shots and so on. Also, although many of them were from distance, which you see here, 5 only on target from 31. A couple of them were from distance, but anyway, it was good enough. And actually, we're through with this. Why? Oh, okay, because I moved that upwards. And now we're instantly gonna switch to the one of Bundesliga 1, and I'm gonna start. Okay, sorry for that, but okay. Now here we got the review, different format, but either you like it or you don't. But I'm just experimenting a little bit. Now we go through game by game. That's a German one here. Um, we check the bets on their quality. We evaluate the bets, and that's it. And here we got the results of Bundesliga 1. We had 16 goals, as you see there, making a total of 32. No home advantage actually in this one. Many goals, 3.556. We could compare that with what I expected, which was clearly less, but not that amazing amount, but still. Okay, Köln lost after 96 minutes, or 98 actually, when the penalty was taken, which was very sad for us. As the under and the side was gone, and actually the intervention by the video assistant, even if it was right, in this case, well, we were harmed by actually every intervention, because this one was costly as well. And Schalke Düsseldorf, very proud. I'm of Düsseldorf because I said before that they are very good. They proved that here again. Hertha also controversial, because they should have had a penalty as well by a video assistant when they say, well, he was pushing Stark aside with the arm. He broke his nose, which makes it very obvious that he touched him. What is the arm doing in the face of the other player? I mean, you can't argue at all that he's trying to keep him off the ball. It's not just a random move by his hand, right? If you do like this and he broke his nose, I mean, so what more can you say, right? It was 1-2 at that point. And then what they say is, well, that was not a foul. But as the ball touched his arm when coming down, which makes obvious that Stark, the attacker, which is the defender actually, was ready to get that header, because the defender wouldn't get there. So he was trying to push him aside, and broke his nose, touched him in his face, and the ball touched his arm. But the referee didn't see anything. I mean, what does he see? Okay, he sees a player going to the ground, instantly blood is... I didn't see anything. Okay, it was nothing. I mean, that was maybe a wasp or something. Just silly. I mean, crazy stuff. And when the coach after the game, he's complaining. I mean, what do they expect? That's justice. Okay, no justice at all, nowhere. And not approaching it, but getting further away. And that's what all the people notice. I mean, if he would not have given the penalty 3 years before the VAR, then maybe they still would have said, well, why doesn't he see that? But then you would say, okay, can accept it. But if there is a VAR and he doesn't see it, I mean, and he fouled him and he used his arm. So, but he doesn't see it. Okay, he doesn't see it. But when the striker, which happened actually once again, he touches the ball with his shoulder and scores from there. Then he saw that one was a handball. I mean, this is not catching it with your stretched out arm. That's not a handball, but moving it forward because you're trying to score, that's handball. That's very obvious. Okay, that's very obvious. I can see that from any distance. Okay, it's just silly, mad stuff. In Mainz, Union, nothing controversial, but some goals for Union, and actually Mainz winner, 3-0, and then very late comeback, but it wasn't enough. Paderborn did get a penalty by VAR, which also made me at least get up from my chair, because I thought, okay, that's a handball, and even the VAR awarded it to us more or less by intervening, but he failed, he missed it after 5 minutes or something like that, and we were in Paderborn, so what can we say? VAR helped us, but it didn't help. Okay. Bayern Dortmund, completely the wrong side, although I would still argue in this one, because Dortmund started very brightly and well, and I would say it was just the goal that spoiled the party, right? I mean, after the goal, 17th, Lewandowski, perfect. Well, just cross and header and everything's perfect. But after that, it was already game over. Dortmund never found a way back. In Gladbach, Werder, I didn't see a lot. We were in over 19th minute. We were lucky here in some sense. Okay, Wolfsburg deserved better against Leverkusen. And actually, Freiburg-Frankfurt was a good game. Freiburg were okay, 11 against 10. Similar to Karlsruhe a bit. Also, the stats went their way after sending off right towards halftime whistle. So was one half with a player up, and they converted it, chances on either side. Anyway, we were over a bit unlucky, as you see in a second. Okay. Here we run once again. I'm showing these stats that I showed here for the Bundesliga 2 as well. You can compare these. You can check these. They are not highlighted. Who was better? Hoffenheim was better. We were in Köln, still last minute, pretty unlucky. Cost him the job. Bayer Lotzer is gone. Schalke Düsseldorf were just excellent. Here it was pretty close to what I expected, which is still quite an amazing edge to Leipzig. Still that controversial decision and may have made it 2-2, and especially after Leipzig got a penalty awarded of a similar kind, which makes it of course just silly. Mainz actually went the way as expected, but those two late goals, I mean, what would you say now? We were in Mainz, we were not really, we can't be so proud of this one. Although, because they gave away too many goals after 0-3. Stats can be on your side. You can't turn it around. Here it was just the wrong side, but once again, the goal after 5 minutes might have changed everything, of course, right? Especially in such a, but we weren't under as well, so not too much of a problem then, right? I mean, we lost the side and we won the under. Bayern Dortmund was pretty one-sided and was already, as expected, a bit with the, as I said, right? Bayern did about what they expected, but Dortmund had nothing. But that was after 15 minutes, it was game over. Gladbach didn't produce as much and they conceded more, so minus 0.85. So clearly on Werder's side, 3-1, they lost, so they shouldn't have lost. In Leverkusen, Wolfsburg would have deserved better. They were even the better side. Here better, there better, and better than expected, and better than Leverkusen too. It's my mouse that's driving me mad here at the moment. And okay, anyway, in Freiburg with a 10-man, 11-10, Freiburg had the edge with a +1. As you see there, I'm not daring to move the mouse there now. And okay, well, should we look at this much detail at the stats? I was trying to tune them in here and talk about it, but I don't have to. I mean, here was the edge, crosses was in Köln's favor, and so on. In the end, they were worse than expected. And result was against them, 98 minutes, as you see here, 90, but it was 98. Okay, unlucky, but only in that one sense. In Schalke Düsseldorf, we didn't have the right side. 12-9 was not 4-5, was not an. They all went Düsseldorf's way. So actually, Düsseldorf were expected to be 1 goal behind, and actually they were even the slightly better side, which is just amazing. And they came back 3 times. Which was just amazing, always the same scorer, Ruven Hennings, and he did it in style, so everything fine there. We had the right side, and we got what we hoped for. 7-8 shots, doesn't sound a lot, 3-7 on target, looks close to expected, 0-5 corners, means Hertha didn't produce what I hoped for, or what they would have hoped for. 3-9 crosses was also against Hertha, possession was against them. So in the end, 1.06, 175, 117, 213, new system, quite some divergence, I don't know the word, but 0.66, 1.67 is just 1 goal about what the new system thought, 2 for the results, still that controversial decision, could have changed everything, 2-2 at that point, 60 something, could have gone otherwise. They scored 3 goals, 30, 45 with a halftime with whistle right after the break again. Two very late goals for Mainz. Still, the stats were okay for them. As you see there, 18-14 shots, 6-5 on target, 3-2. Always compared with what I expected. That was in their favor. Also possession, tackles was around even. One, so they produced even slightly more than expected, which is just marginal. About, well, that's so close to what I expected. So, well, anyway, after 3 goals, you can easily have the stats without having too much chances. 2-3, the final result, as we all remember. Here we had this early penalty, 11-12. Still, the game didn't go quite Paderborn's way after that, and all around, it was actually Augsburg producing the better stats, just confirming that. They were close to each other, old and new. But the values they played during the game was in Augsburg's favor. Still, I would come back to the penalty, which was a huge chance and may have changed the whole course of the game. Anyway, in Bayern Dortmund, we had that goal after 17 minutes, as I said already, after which Dortmund were simply out of the game. 18-1, 7-0, 2-1 corners, nothing much for Bayern, which means the under was okay, but they were taking their chances. Of course, if we were an under after 76 minutes with 2 goals, you could say, well, we could easily survive that under 3.25, just one more goal. But if Lewandowski and so on, well, okay, we lost the under. But I'm not proud of that one, of course, because Dortmund, you can see that in the tackles as well. They were 56.45 Bayern, so they stopped playing, they stopped tackling, which would have been a bit silly anyway when you just the worst side, and yeah, okay. I mean, that's it's a different story. Pretty clear-cut affair. In Gladbach, Werder, well, 17-16, close enough for Werder. 7-6, better than expected, close enough for Werder. Corners going their way, Werder's way. Crosses as well. Gladbach just didn't have their fair amount or as many as expected, while Werder did. Possession was also a bit favorable for Werder. So in general, they were just better than expected. 1.88, 1.34, 2.23, 1.47 to a new system. So some more goals even. We weren't over anyway. 90th minute, as you see up there. So it was pretty late that we won it. We wouldn't have lost it before, although was it 3.25? I can't remember. We would have lost maybe half of it. Anyway, 3-1. Okay, happy with that. Wolfsburg Leverkusen, as I said already, 9-9 is okay for Wolfsburg because it's better than expected. 2-4 goes Leverkusen's way, although that had been expected too. 9-0, that's the corners that made it, but the stats in their favor. But that was very obvious that they were just hitting corner after corner, which means you have some pressure anyway. And that was 25 minutes to go for Leverkusen, and after that was actually Wolfsburg clearly deserving it. 13-5 crosses is massive. Possession was also more than expected, although still Leverkusen had a small edge. 1.34, 1.38 old system expected goals. 1.29, 1.40, so new system saw a bit more of an edge. But they played 1.57, 0.84. It was more or less Leverkusen playing for the result. They did get it, they didn't deserve it. I insist on that. That's a 0-2. So in Freiburg, Frankfurt, that late goal, it was a very good game. I liked it. Because, I mean, not for the referee decisions and things like that. Commentary is terrible, but the game itself, if you watch that, you like it because, I mean, you see that sending off, okay, it can happen, and but after that, I mean, Freiburg tried to make the most of that, but they know they need patience, and they notice that Frankfurt are a very good side, and they know they are not the favorite, not even maybe after the sending off. But if they insist on approaching with a careful approach and wait, that patience and so on, and it paid off. They scored the goal, although Frankfurt after that had enough chances to equalize, which was very impressive actually, because 10 players, I mean, yeah, you can, okay, you can still squeeze something out, but usually, yeah, you're just beaten. But they weren't. They tried a lot. And they actually would have deserved it, as far as I can, well, judge it by the pictures. The stats would say a different story. Pretty even game. very, very small edge to Frankfurt, and that was one goal in Freiburg's favor, which was goes down to the sending off, which still wasn't the impression during the game. So that's not fully confirming that. It's the crosses that came in, right, that make the difference here, a huge difference. But I'm not, yeah, well, it was not the impression. The 13-17 shots and 7-6, that would reflected a lot more what the impression was, right? 8-10 corners, all these stats go to Frankfurt. And we had a 1-0, okay, bit sad. Okay, now, okay, here's the stored ranking. I just wanted to show you Bayern easily outclassed Dortmund and well took over. You can look at this column where they are. Paderborn now overtaken by Augsburg. Obviously, they are the worst, including the conversion rate, which you see there. But it means, okay, they are not taking their chances, even penalties, which is just a joke. But it's yeah. Well, why would you put them otherwise, right? Mainz also approaching it with a negative conversion rate and things like that. I'm gonna do that a bit deeper in the previews again, right? But it looks pretty nice to me. If you look at the goal average, I mean, we have to watch out for for all of these parameters and things. And if you see these three close together, expectancies last season, goal average, real goal average, expected, and so on, then you can say stats are pretty okay. I mean, what does it mean? We can trust these over-under goal line bets in general. Okay. Okay, this is home ranking. I just put it here. I don't know why really we needed that for the preview again on next week's Thursday. Here are the bets. I was giving a different shape here now, or different format or something like that. But I think we saw them already. We had current drawn or bet. Here's some English version justification for the bets in some words. So you can pause it here as well and look at that. Well, I can't be too proud of that. We did have a quality. Oh yeah, I was measuring that. If we remember that Köln was bad. Düsseldorf was good. Definitely that one was good according to stats. I counted neutral. I mean, that's fair, I would say. I mean, they fulfilled what I expected. 2-3 is a close result. They were 3 goals down. Could have gone otherwise at many points, and they weren't terrible at all. So I find that justified to count it neutral. The Paderborn was bad, and Dortmund was bad, or even worse, but I'm just having this. Why is it going here? Under? Oh, that's the goal lines. Okay, under. Okay, we check that. That one's good, very obviously. I mean, we could go back to the slide, but you may have that in memory. Köln didn't have that much. Hoffenheim about as much. So that's fine for the under. That one is neutral because statistically it was fine, but 3-3 is just too much for a good one. Paderborn was obviously a good one. Did over was fine with many chances. Wolfsburg, Leverkusen, the under was very good because Leverkusen had very little and Wolfsburg were doing fine. But it was a perfect under. Freiburg, the over was good because there were too many shots, and you saw that 2.45 to 2.4 something 1.4. So that's already 3.8 goals, and we got an over 3. The under was good. Dortmund had nothing at all. So, but if Bayern scored the goals, okay, that's 6-0. You can say that's flattering a bit, but still I find it justified. So I leave it as a good one. We had a very terrible result on the sides, minus 2.95 units, lost just one winner, 4 lost, and we had slightly over 2.0 price, so that's why it's only 2.95. Terrible, worst, well, it happens, okay. Quality was also no good. Here, actually, the quality had been perfect, and we lost this, or we drew it with the last kick. That one was without a chance, actually, as Düsseldorf after the break at least, well, they scored goal after goal, but they also produced their chances. And the under was good, was a winner. That over was good, was a winner. Over 3, you see it last minute. We only won 1 unit, but of course that's still lucky, but you wouldn't worry too much if it's an even. The under was a winner. that Freiburg not winning was a bit sad, and Bayern scored the two more goals, which was also, you can understand that they don't slow down, because they say, okay, they want to, well, impose on Dortmund, or just show and regain their confidence, right? So that makes sense. Okay. Now the whole evaluation of that match day: 1-3 quality there, 1-3 there, 7-3 quality altogether, minus 2.95, minus 0.19, minus 3.14 units altogether. That's very sad. Now we have those detailed stats here once again. We had that already, just a different format here to check that or confirm that. Anyway, I left that in here, and now we are through. And I was showing what can I. Okay. Anyway, yeah, it seems to. Well, I got through it pretty quickly, and of course, I'm also, I have to be a bit careful with my own time, but because it takes a lot at the moment, but I'm trying, of course, to make you happy as well, and find some more. Maybe, yeah, so leave your likes, subscriptions, they are free. And also, one more that I want to say: leave your comments, and maybe you can ask questions too, so I can make question and answers, some kind of video. So if you would wish to know something in more detail, as I said, a few things about that betting stuff. And also I could do general videos in which I explain some general approaches that I'm using over 30 years now. And what else? Those questions, no, if you oh, that's my homepage, right? You saw that here already in some of these slides, but I'm trying to get that back up again, so you can maybe find there some. Well, I'm talking about it, and I haven't got anything to show for. So still, I would try to get something running there. And so you maybe find some tutorial videos or things like that there on my channel. It's not so, well, not so clear where you find what. So anyway, thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye. See you in 13, 14, 15, 16. Oh, 16 days. That's it. No, 9. Deduct 7. Sorry. 1 week plus 2. 9.